All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mia Hall, reporting for BlackEnterprise.com. Today, we are going to be talking about a millennial on the move. His name is Luc El-Art Severe, and he is a VP at Together We Thrive at United Way NYC. We're happy to have him on to talk more about his career and, of course, more about the wonderful programs at United Way of NYC. Luc El-Art, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, of course, of course. So, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, what are you currently doing at United Way NYC with Together We Thrive?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, my name is Luc Severe. I'm the Vice President of Small Business and Workforce Development with United Way of New York City. And my portfolio covers workforce development for job seekers in New York City, especially persons of color who have been tragically impacted by COVID last year with a lot of closures of businesses and a lot of pausing of schools and education. And so we're here to kind of bridge that gap. In addition to that, I lead the team of this initiative for small businesses called Together We Thrive. For many of you who may or may not know, since COVID, 40% of Black-owned business owners suffered loss on their businesses, which is steeper than any other racial groups. There was an economic relief overlook of Black and Brown business owners by 96% of all businesses in this country. Black-owned business owners were approved for PPP loans at a lower rate, which was the Federal Payroll Protection Act. 40% of Black-owned business firms were approved versus 52% of total firms approved. And now the undergirding of all of this has been a historical disproportionality of just inequities of resources, inequity of policies, things that were not in favor of Black-owned businesses that really revealed itself and exacerbated because of COVID. In New York City, to shine a spotlight, pre-pandemic, there were only 2% of Black entrepreneurs and Black-owned businesses in New York City, although 22% of New York City residents are Black. One in three Black-owned businesses in New York City may not reopen. And what that means is 520,000 jobs are vacant, are lost, excuse me. And so with all of this, there was a team of brain thinkers who came to the table last year with the question of what do we do about this? So as many of you know, United Way of New York City is a key and integral partner and part of building families and building communities. And as many of you know, one of the biggest backbone or strongest backbone to a community is its small business, is its commerce. And so with Black businesses suffering at a high number of loss and high number of impact by COVID, that then threatens the Black communities. And so what we've done is we've created this collaboration and this network called Together We Thrive Black Business Network, which is a coalition that will provide access to capital, network, and technical assistance to support the survival, success, and sustainability of Black-owned businesses. This is unlike other loan or grant programs where this initiative will provide wraparound services designed by and for Black-owned businesses, while also strengthening the entire Black business economy and ecosystem to promote self-determination, generational wealth, and equitable neighborhoods.
Awesome. Wow, they're doing, exactly what Black Enterprise stands for, supporting the Black-owned businesses and helping them to thrive, and not only thrive alone, but thrive together. So I know that, you have a very celebrated career, and your education started at an HBCU. HBCUs have a great place in my heart. Shout out to Hampton University. So yeah, can you tell us really about your journey to supporting Black businesses? Like, why is supporting Black businesses, even so important to you?
Sure. So it's funny, as Mia mentioned, I'm a proud alum of Morehouse College, Atlanta, Georgia, Morehouse. And while there, of course, we studied everything Black. We were promoting everything Black. We were rooting for all people Black. Blackly Black. But it didn't just stop with that. We also were taught empowerment and different ways that we advocate for our community, different ways that we show up for our community, because we understood that there was this long inequity and injustice that exists in this nation and in this world. And so through years, I knew that I wanted to be an advocate. And so I pursued law, ended up getting my doctorate at Western Michigan Law School, Thomas M. Cooley Law School in Western Michigan, and was very adamant in wanting to do community work and wanting to show up for my community, but in a different lens, in more of a changing policy, changing legislation, kind of impacting those things that gives you the rights or tells you what you can or can't do. And so I worked in several different capacities with the public hospital system, looking for my niche there, and was able to advocate for healthcare in our communities and advocate for the workers who have been providing that care for our communities. And then I transitioned to children's services for New York City, which I was working on policies and procedures there, and kind of was part of the team overhauling our response to crises with an equity lens that I think was something that's been missing for years. I was fortunate enough by having a mentor tap me in 2017, 2018, after the two Category 5 hurricanes hit the U.S. Virgin Islands. My mentor had been down there and actually was working on the cabinet with the governor of the Virgin Islands. And when the hurricane hit the U.S. Virgin Islands, it really kind of impacted many of the communities on all three islands, especially St. John's and St. Thomas, where the hurricane came from that direction. And so the task force was put together with some of the folks from Bloomberg LP and many of the folks who are familiar with the territory and of course the leaders of the territory. And so I was brought down to assist and be the senior advisor and stakeholder engagement lead. And part of my big role was hearing from the community the impact, hearing from the government what's our response going to be, and kind of putting together stakeholders and advocates who could help push this agenda, push what needs to happen to rebuild quickly and timely. But the other piece too is we had a responsibility where we had to write a report to the federal government requesting money. And part of that, we needed to tell a story of what all of this means and how do we get there. And so I was able to connect quickly with business owners and chambers of commerce. And, when we talk about the Virgin Islands, it's Black. It's people who look like you and I who live there, who it's a territory that's had injustices and inequities. If you think about it, when you talk about resources being poured out, they haven't had resources poured into them for that's been adequate. So I started realizing that this is a calling of mine. How do I help advocate for businesses who are decimated by disasters because they impact the communities. If the family, if the bread winner of the family was a business owner and that business is gone, that's it. And so, and if you think about it, oftentimes business owners will pour their life savings into their passion, into their business, with the hope that they will get that at least in return, let alone profit. And so when all of that is kind of wiped away, what then is left? And so I found myself, when I came back from doing that work, I found myself really, kind of wanting to come back into that. And so by the grace of God, I was appointed to New York State, Empire State Development, where I was appointed as Vice President of Business Development for the New York State Minority and Women Business Enterprise. And then shortly after, I was recruited to this role with United Way, which has been really a blessing and a response to my passion of helping our communities, helping our Black businesses, and helping us strive and helping us thrive.
I was like on mute there. Okay, yeah, no, I'm thankful that you're continuing that work, because it's so important for like you said, Black-owned businesses. I mean, some people, it's not like we have the resources, at least historically, that other business owners have, so like you said, sometimes that could be, somebody's whole, livelihood. They're like, look, if it's this or nothing else, you know what I mean? So that's why it's very important for them to be able to get there. So, some people might be saying, okay, you were able to go, from Morehouse to, to law school to, work with the hospitals and Virgin Islands and things like that. What has been one of the common threads that has helped you to continue to elevate and do the things that you want to do in your career? What do you think has helped you to get these positions to be able to follow your passion?
So first and foremost, I'm a God-fearing man, and I'm a firm believer that God puts you on a path to where He wants you to go, where He needs you to be. And so, it's funny. I tell those stories about where I landed and where I ended up, but that's not actually where I planned on going. Actually, so a couple of things. Funny enough, when I was a kid, there were three professions that I wanted to enter in. One was a firefighter, the other was to become a lawyer, and the other was actually to become a priest. And all three, the commonality with all three of them is that you're acting for someone else. You're responding for someone else who typically are in crisis or in need, and you're there, to kind of help them. So I think the common thread was that God has always put it in my heart to help others, like genuinely, with a passion to help others. Now, what I saw it, I said, oh, well, I don't think I want to go to the priesthood, so didn't do that. And then I did a brief stint in firefighting. And then I said in law school, hey, you know what? I want to be a prosecutor. And so I literally, was my concentration was litigation. I did all of those competitions of mock trial, moot court, all those things to try and sharpen my litigation skills, did clerkships, all these different things. And then when I came back to New York City, I literally interviewed at every single DA's office, and all of them said, nah. So for me, I was like, well, no, this is my calling. This is my passion. This is what God wanted me to do. And all in all, it's funny because I feel like God was like, no, I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell you to become a prosecutor. And so when other doors started opening, I started realizing, oh, okay, well, you know what? No harm, no foul. Let me go through this door and let me check it out. And there I realized the impact that I would be able to have. So it's funny because after a couple of years being in a hospital system, so starting to learn that my law degree can actually be as impactful, if not more, through policy work and through regulatory compliance work. I started talking to friends of mine and people that were prosecutors, and they were like, "It's not as glamorous as you think. You can't." You can't. This is not like the movies or the TV shows where you can make the decision of what we're going to withdraw the case or we're going to. No, they're like,
it's not. Everything is not like.
Right. Like they were like, no, it's actually not like that. And the toughest thing for and many of my friends who've said this, the toughest thing for them who are of color is that when they have when they have to prosecute someone of color, and so or even a young person of color, and so it's like we gotta zealously advocate for the government, zealously advocate for the citizens. But in turn, what does that look like for that defendant? And so, so in a way, I thank God for this every day, because I think I probably would have been broken if I knew that each day I would be going into work and that's the kind of impact that I would have. And so, by this route, I was able to look at some systematic challenges and issues that impact our communities, such as healthcare, such as child welfare resources, and now small business resources that are out there in the community.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds like, you found your path. What's for you will not miss you. My friend, my friends always say it, and my friend Siobhan said it last night too to us. What's for you will not miss you. And that's good that, your purpose, obviously it doesn't seem like it missed you. So I, want to ask, just in case there's some entrepreneurs on here, you've worked with, small businesses a lot. And are still continuing to work with them now. Can you give like a piece of advice for a small business that, let's say they're kind of like just starting out, or even because, somebody that is thinking that they want to start a business, how can they, or how have you seen businesses take advantage of things like, Together We Thrive? I know that you used to also work with, getting businesses certified, but, like what's a business, that you've seen that was successful that, you would give that same advice, you would tell another business owner to do what they did?
Sure. I think, and every business owner would know this, and you can't stop grinding. You can't stop, working towards what you want. There are a couple of advice that I want to actually give. One of the big ones, and especially for Black entrepreneurs and aspiring Black entrepreneurs, stop telling yourself no, or stop discounting yourself before anybody else does. What I mean by this is I've met several businesses who won't pursue a bank or pursue funding options from lenders because they know that, or they hear how other businesses or other people are treated because of credit or because of historical biases and things like that. That's not your story. And when I was talking to actually one of our partners in this, and I said to him, I was like, if I was a business, I'd probably think the same thing. What is it that our business owners or Black businesses are not doing that kind of closes them out of the opportunities for access to capital? And he plain and simply said, you have to tell a story. So your credit score could be whatever it is, but you have to be able to tell a story that's compelling to the underwriters so that they feel confident that, yeah, you might be risky, but your plan and your business idea is so flawless that we will take that risk because we know that you're gonna at least get a return in that investment. So don't discount yourself, because the better you're able to tell your story, the better opportunities will be out there for you. The other thing too is research what opportunities are out there to help you in your business. There are organizations called small business development centers, small business development centers. These are federally funded centers that exist all across the nation. They are free centers that helps you from if you're in your living room in your PJs with a concept of a business that you want to come up with, they want you to come to them at that point and talk through that business idea, because what they do is they do a market analysis with you. They see if that business is even something that people want, and if it is something that people want, where is it that they want it? And so they help you kind of pinpoint where you need to kind of market yourself. They help you draw up a business plan. They help you tap into access to capital. They also help you in locating procurement opportunities. Again, small business development centers. And typically they're attached to business schools or even community organizations. Here in New York, we have at least 10 or 12 within New York City alone. And part of the Together We Thrive model, we work with them so that they can still provide those wraparound services to our Black businesses who may not know about them. Again, they're free because your tax dollars pay for them, but they're a great resource that you can go there and practically get soup to nuts help on your business, hands down. Another aspect, another piece of advice I would say is, once you have your business started, um, you know, tap into all of those resources where you can meet procurement officers, procurement managers, people who write the bids and write the RFPs, whether it's the city, the state, or even private. Because oftentimes with those RFPs, those requests for proposals, where you get these big dollars and things like that to perform, those procurement people typically know the businesses that they have in mind when they are writing those proposals. And so as much as you can sell yourself and be in front of their face so that when there is a need, you're the one that comes up in their mind and they're writing the proposal with the hope that you apply for it, that's what you need to be doing. And that's the power of networking that I think needs to really happen. But all in all, I recommend you to visit togetherwethrivelyc.org. Visit the website togetherwethrivelyc.org, and then you can start your intake. It says I'm a business, start your intake, and we'll help you from there. These resources are for free, and we thank our corporate partners for assisting us both fiscally as well as people power to help businesses thrive.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So Together We Thrive NYC .org, right?
Right, .org.
Okay, I'll be sure to leave that in the description. And I don't like to I don't want to forget to talk about I feel like people come to a certain level of success because of what they give. I think that giving is very important. I know that's something that you do. Can you just talk about a little bit about how your giving, how your serving has, even complemented or, in many ways led to, your success?
Sure. One of the things that my mother always instilled in me was being sure that you tithe back to God what He has given to you. And the Scripture says, tithe their first fruit, the 10% of the harvest, into God, and that He will, bless you with manifold blessings. And it's funny, when my mother taught me it, it wasn't only just about giving back to God and here, give your money back to God. It wasn't a factor that God needs this, no, it wasn't nothing like that. But what it was, she said, was it's you showing your obedience to God and you showing that you trust Him enough that you will give back, knowing that He'll provide. And it's funny because and she always said, that give back is not only financially, but it's also talent. You hear the parables of the talent, the parables of the talents, and who used their talents to do good for others, and who didn't. Who multiplied on their talents and whatnot. And so that was always like embedded in me. And so through my walk of life, even though and again, I'm not perfect, so I haven't been 100% of the time, but it was so funny because the moments I wouldn't tithe or I would forget, I would always notice something happen, or it wouldn't be catastrophic, but it's like, dang, I need this, I need that, or even like in undergrad where it's like, oh man, God, like I need just that extra whatever amount to get over for this semester, and the minute I tithe, or the minute I'm given the opportunity to pay it forward to someone else, trusting that God has it under control, because it's always hard to tithe when it's that last $5 in your pocket and you're like, God, like, oh man, I got you next time. But if you trusted him and give him that $5, you turn the corner and you see some, you get blessed, exponentially. And I remember there have been times where, I'm like, all right, God, I'm trusting in you. I'm going to give you this, or let me just put it out there. I'm giving, putting my trust in you. And then all of a sudden, registrar or financial aid forgot that there was a check that I was supposed to get, or something else comes around the corner, or promotion or a bonus comes around the corner where God is blessing me beyond what I even thought that I needed or even had. So it's I think like that in itself is just such a testimony and a testament to how good God is, because as much as he gives us, we're required to give that back, not just to him, but to our neighbors, our brothers and sisters who need it. And guess what? Even if you don't get anything back, it still is our duty, and it still is a good feeling to be able to help someone else. Where when you're in a position to help someone and not have to get anything back, isn't that like a great feeling? Like that is such a liberating feeling. And for people who've never felt that before, try and just do that. Like one day, just give somebody $5 and just like, and with no expectation of anything. It's to see their joy, to see their confusion, to see all those emotions happen is a blessing that you're able to do that. And so, and I thank God for where I am now in my journey, because I prayed for changes in my life, and each change that he's done, he's elevated me higher and higher, and in positions to actually make robust change that affect my people. And so I'm just grateful to him for that opportunity. And as much as I can pour back out to others, I will continue to do so.
Right. And it's not only, just your tithe, which I understand is important, but, you serve with your ministry, and, this is just, more about your journey, because not only have you had this path of, business development, and you said you wanted to be a priest, but you weren't a priest, but now I understand you're a minister with double of experience, correct?
Yeah. And I actually am, funny you say that. I'm actually pursuing seminary school starting in the fall of this year at Union Theological Seminary.
Yes, congratulations.
And shout out to Pastors Gabby Cudjoe-Wilkes and Pastor Andrew Wilkes for their tutelage in my ministerial fellowship in church. So they were it's so funny because they were the ones who actually pulled me back to the calling of my childhood, by watching how they served, watching what they what they profess in, and how they act upon that. And so so it's like, okay, God, I see in full circle. And the funny part is, or not the funny part, but the rewarding part is, because as a kid I thought it was siloed. I thought, oh, a priest or a lawyer. But I'm starting to see, and what I love about my church is that it is it's one and the same. Advocating is godly. Social justice is godly. Conscious, conscious, disagreement is godly. It's of God. I mean, if you study Jesus's life, that's what he was doing. He was advocating for those people who were voiceless in these societies, and so he did so through his actions, through his words, through his teaching, and similarly, he's called us to do that as well. And so that this is my next step of my journey is wearing this hat as VP of small business, working on building Black businesses and small businesses with a spiritual lens of social justice. Making sure that our policies are aligned and that there are not inequities and that there are not a disproportionality.
Yes. And also another part of your career journey as far as giving back was you and your sister, I understand, started an organization, for and a scholarship fund. So, while you're, doing, your work, you and your sister, can you just talk about that very briefly?
Yeah.
I just want to cover every aspect of the career so that people can know, like, you don't have to just do one thing, be one way, and you can give back and it'll help, I think that it helps elevation. So has that helped you?
Yeah, definitely. So what you're talking about is SOAR, Severe's Opportunity and Access to Resource. So one day, my sister, who's a social worker, she and I were sitting one day and kind of thinking through how do we do more as far as giving back to our communities. And my sister, who works for schools and is a program director for a nonprofit with schools, said, one of the challenges is our Black kids getting the opportunity to meet colleges and understanding some career and college opportunities that are out there. So what we ended up doing was we said, you know what, if they need that, why don't we bring it to them? So we actually took our childhood church and started this about 4 years ago, where we started hosting college career and scholarship fairs. So we said, hey, if a senior or whomever wants to go to college, we're going to show them, we're going to have them meet with college recruiters, and we're going to have financiers there who could talk about scholarships that they're awarding, all the different ways that they could fund schooling and whatnot. And then if there are parents who want to actually go back to school and things like that, there is that component of a non-traditional school that we've asked them to come and speak to them as well. But then we also realized college is not for everybody, and so we also brought in career organizations to help the young people figure out what they want to do next. So if some said they were in law enforcement, we had our partners at NYPD there. We had FDNY there. We had DOC there. We had a whole host of different other organizations and job readiness places there to speak to the students and to speak to their parents. The first year was modest. We had about 20, 30 schools and careers, and we had about 70 people there. Last year, we held this in sponsorship with co-sponsored by our state senator, and we had over 70 organizations represented, and we had over 200, we had over 500 members who showed up on our Zoom platform to get this information. And it's funny because I just got an email the other day saying, hey, are you going to do it again in this fall, or are you going to do it again this spring? And so it's something that we're really passionate about. We love bringing information to our community and bringing resources to our community to help us be more empowered.
Awesome. No, yeah. And that was, that's always an awesome event, and happy to see the work that you and Rebecca are doing. So congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
And lastly, we don't want to forget, like I said, we're covering every aspect of your career. So you also are are a professor, I hear.
Yes, I
So,
am.
so much, Black Enterprise talks about, not just having one stream, having multiple streams. So, when did you start to teach?
I started teaching in the winter of 2018. So I actually am an online professor for the Northern Virginia Community College. Many of you may know it as the school where Dr. Jill Biden, our First Lady, teaches. Yep, she is one of my faculty colleagues. I teach in the Administration for Justice division, where I teach intro to juvenile justice, ethics and law, as well as corrections.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, no. So, I mean, I know that you're managing a lot, so we don't want to take up, too much more of your
Well, that's quite
time.
right.
Yeah. Do you have any closing words for any millennials on the move that just want to keep on going, that they want to thrive? You have any closing pieces of advice for them?
I'd say first and foremost, keep God first. Definitely talk to Him daily, meditate, find out where you are called to be. Don't force yourself to be in places that was not designed for you, because it's protection from something else. The other piece too is don't let a no discourage you. Don't let a rejection discourage you. It's just, I was on a panel just a minute ago where, the person said rejection is protection, and you don't know what you're being protected from. The other thing too is, though they may not want you, does not mean that something greater is not out there. Make sure, you keep positive. Make sure you continually sell yourself. Whenever you're networking, get your networking game up real big quickly, because that's where a lot of these opportunities will come from, is knowing people and being able to be a value and an asset in their network and in their organization is very key.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all who are tuned in. Make sure you read the full story on blackenterprise.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, folks.